Alright my friends, how you all doing? Welcome back to the channel and welcome finally to a Sunday session of Planet Zoo and our JCP build. It's been a while my friends, hasn't it? I do apologise for that. Obviously in the background I have been planning, I have been working away at JCP, but we just haven't had a chance to sit down and do a Sunday episode. But we are gonna do that my friends. Today we're really going to get into the opening and early stages of Chapter 3. Obviously last episode was the fact that I introduced it to you. We unlocked a bunch of zoning and we've got loads of work to be cracking on with. If you've missed last episode, I'll link it above for you. You can watch that now or you can watch it back after today's episode. Some fantastic comments were put forward to me in that episode. They've all been written down. All the ideas have been, taken on board, and we actually put some of those ideas into some forward planning in today's episode. So I'm really excited now to get Chapter 3 of the series started. As far as today's episode is concerned, I am going to be using comments from the last episode. So there's not going to be too many because people were just kind of topping up on what they were saying the one before that. But I've taken them all on board. I'm going to put the best ones up on screen in a moment. Also, my friends, I do want you to know, lots and lots of you left some fantastic comments on the zoo tour episode. I have not forgotten any of those comments, and I have made a laundry list of all of the greatest ideas and all of the little jobs that need doing. And I think what I'm probably going to do is take a live stream soon where I work my way through that list and just basically get all of those small nitty-gritty things all sorted out in the zoo. There was lots of really good comments and suggestions in that, and I think that they are definitely lots of things that we need to apply to the zoo to make this zoo bigger, better, and work more efficiently, basically. So you've all been amazing, and like the fact that we are 6 months into this project and you are all still watching in your droves, you're all still getting involved, you're all still massively involved in the comment section and every single live stream fills me with so much joy, and that is exactly why I do this thing, my friends. But anyway, today we're going to get into our first official bit of building where Chapter 3 is concerned, and I'm going to go through some comments. To be fair, none of the comments really have anything to do with what we're going to be doing today, but they will definitely be things that we probably apply to next Sunday's episode, I would imagine, and so that's why I want to put them forward. I want people to know exactly what we're doing, and I am going to talk a bit more about planning today. There will be no zones on offer because we're not offering up zones until we are probably 90% done on the areas that we've got to work on. We have got so much landmass to work on at the moment, there's just no need for me to put any more zones forward, my friends. But do continue to get all of your ideas and your comments in the comment section below. It's really appreciated by your boy. But anyway, let me just move this in here so we can get a really lovely view of the zoo. It's crazy that how big it's getting now. Like, we're having to really zoom out to have a really good look at the project. But first, a comment this week comes in from Leaf Productions. I'm not sure if Leaf has been watching the series from, for a long time, but has really got involved in the live streams and the comments recently, and I really appreciate it. But they've said, maybe for contacting the maintenance road, you could submerge the road underground and lead the terrain up. You've done a marvellous job with the terrain so far. It would be cool to see the African plains tower over the rest of the zoo for some sightlines. Possibly feature some baobab trees, hypothetically plastic or some other material, as they couldn't survive the harsh English climate, or something along those lines. I kind of see you walking up into an archway, giving a sort of false perspective, if you will, as you enter the African area. It would do well to hide the road as well as concealing the illusion by minimising staff visibility. Maybe lead into the area with a large plaza of sorts, with some smaller exhibits surrounding it. Just spitballing here. As for North America, Frontier kind of screwed us over with larger or medium-sized animals, and I feel like you wouldn't instantly be introduced to a bear or a wolf from the second you walk into the new area. Probably some implied habitats for otters or beavers would work well, or possibly aviaries for birds of prey or owls. As for theming, I'm not sure how you could take it. Typically, people often go for the rustic Pacific Northwest log cabin inspired appeal, but I feel like something else can be achieved. Maybe some New England style architecture with signature gables and farmhouses posing as facades for the exhibits would be nice, kind of like colonial style, if you will. Would personally look towards Salem, Massachusetts for inspiration. Of course, there's tons more styles that could be incorporated as well. Looking forward to the next installment, my friend, and cheers for Chapter 3. And thank you for such an amazing comment, Leaf. I think what Leaf is basically mainly talking about, is this access road here. Obviously, we were talking about how we are going to join these two roads up. I've done a lot of thinking about this, and I'm not sure if this is going to be the road that we join to this one anyway. We are actually going to have an access road here. Because obviously we are going to have another animal nursery in here and potentially a research hub there. So what I am thinking is potentially this road comes all the way up and we bring it along this way and then along here. But I would actually probably still go with the idea of sinking it so that our guests kind of walk over a bridge and don't really know too much about it. But I think if I was to do it here, it gives me more space to work with, if that makes sense to everybody, because it's quite difficult doing stuff like that, and I'd need quite a bit of room. So I think that's what we're probably going to do. This road here may come to a bit of a dead end, a bit like this one does. I think it would probably just join up to the main sort of visitor staff path area, but we'd leave it quite wide and open so that cars could navigate in and out should we need to do it. I think that's what I'm going to do, but some amazing stuff. And then as for North America, which is going to get started up here, some amazing suggestions. Really, really appreciate them. And they will make for some very, very good stuff. But anyway, let's crack on with the next comment. It comes in from Alexis Doris this week. And Alexis has said, donation boxes are pretty much most of the zoo's income in this game. I don't know how many Jamii has currently, but more is always better. I'm kind of surprised the Tropical House doesn't have us rolling in dough, which makes me think there may be a shortage of donation boxes. I don't recall if we ever talked about this, but since we've decided our timescale is different from the games, did we change that in the settings to make animals age accordingly? We did. The animals age at a rate of 5 times slower than they ordinarily would, because we are obviously treating this as X amount of years. I think 5 in-game years stand for 1 year, basically. So that's why we are doing that. And as for donation boxes, we have 2 upstairs, 3 downstairs, and then a bunch on the outside of the Tropical House. So we don't really need any more. But yeah, I think it's just got to a point, Alexis, where the zoo is kind of just turning over as much as it's earning. I think it was always going to happen. I think we probably need to add more stuff like shops and stuff. Unfortunately, because we're doing this from a realistic standpoint, you don't want to add a load of restaurants, but because of the way the game works, you kind of need to do that to make money. But we are going to find a way around it. We are starting to make a bit of a profit once again anyway. Where did I get to? I feel like we must have, but I don't remember. Might also help with money if the animals are slower, especially when it comes to reproducing, which would also help our nursery space problem. For the Americas, I say start with pronghorns. Pronghorns live in the southern states, Mexico, which is close to South America. Lead the guests upwards like it is in real life, from the rainforest to the desert plains / plains bison, and then the woodlands. We can even carry onwards up and to an Arctic section. It works thematically and geographically. Really, really interesting. I like that. I like starting North America with the bison and the pronghorns. I think it makes the most sense. And then you work your way into the bigger sort of animals like your bears and your wolves. I think that is probably a direction that we will go in as and when we get to it. Next up, Primal Gamers left a comment. I like the ideas presented. I do think a neat idea is we could have a prairie area towards the front for the pronghorn and bison, and then slowly forest it up and make the wolves be there, and then maybe a section for the bears like the grizzly and the polar. Have an indoor viewing area that shows the grizzlies on one side, the polar bears on the other, with maybe a log cabin feel being like the main area for North America section. Anyways, that's all I have to say for now. Keep up the good work. And kind of working along the same sort of notion that Alexis Doris was there. Really, really love it. Sander Neelan has sent a comment in, and this one's more sort of narrative, which you all know I'm a sucker for, and I enjoyed the comment a lot. But Sander Neelan said, I like Leaf's idea of an underground road. Could be the way to avoid having roads in the middle of the park. Furthermore, I still think a narrative for the start of Africa is great. So here it is. Daily Dodo, the great migration of Africa has come to Jamii. The Tropical House has just finished, and newly added jaguars and anteaters are already getting new neighbours. Jamii Conservation Park is going to bring the Serengeti to the UK. The Great Migration of Africa started already, and it looks like some animals went the wrong way and ended up in Jamii. Big herd of wildebeest zebras have arrived, but that's But that is not all. The Thompson gazelle migrate too. The new animals can enjoy a spacious habitat with stunning river going across. These are the first animals for the bigger African region in the park. We can't wait to see the end results. The start looks promising. I love it. Absolutely love it. For North America, I like Primal's idea of slowly increasing the amount of foliage. Personally, not a big fan of the polar bears, although a smaller enclosure could make a difference. We can get away with making the enclosures smaller because obviously we've turned a few settings off in this series because we are trying to be as realistic as possible. So we might be able to scale it down a bit, which is, something we'd need to do. I'm not a fan of the polar bears either, Sandra, just because of the amount of bloody room they need. So it is a bit of a pain, but we will try our best. Just realised we do not have all the reptiles in the reptarium. Eastern blue-tongued lizard should be added in one of the exhibits where we are currently housing a second anaconda or boa. That is all for today. Still stunned by the look of the park. That's actually a very, very valid point that you make there, Sander. Now, I'm going to be honest, we might not do that today, but because I'd have to move some stuff around and I haven't made somewhere for, like the other snakes and stuff to go. But yeah, we will definitely look into doing that because that is a good point. We don't have all of the lizards. Veganitis is up next. She said, I can't believe it's been almost 6 months already. Weren't we going to put a reptile bird auditorium at the beginning of Africa, where it's just out to the left of the central area? To incorporate combat wombats idea, maybe we could make it something like an implied rotational performance where on certain days different animals are showcased. Reptiles on Monday and Friday, sea lions to be on Wednesday and Saturday. Otters or penguins could be Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday. Just a little idea. I agree with Alexis with pronghorns, maybe with a shared exhibit with bison, being the introductory animals in North America. We could have ostriches with warthog, zebras, gazelle further on for Africa. I'd love to see the continents being divided by colour, reminiscent of the path you made for the old to new area in the zoo. Africa could be shades of yellow and orange. South America entrance is green. North America can be shades of brown. Asia can be shades of purple, and Europe could be shades of blue. I'd also love for you to include a natural river that we can pretend has always been there into the zoo and make it a challenge to work around. Just a couple of ideas. Can't wait till the next episode. Have a good one. Dan, I really like a lot of this comment. I really, really do. There's lots of stuff in here that we could definitely incorporate into the project. I like the idea of colour coding, but we'd have to be very kind of clever about it. I'm not sure how... Like, I wouldn't want the entire floor to be like green, for instance. I think it would just it would look ugly and it'd be a bit much. I quite like the style that we've gone with, but if we could incorporate some color coding in somehow, then I do find that a very interesting idea for each of the areas because it's a good way to kind of separate it. Maybe we put a little band of color at the beginning and at the end of each area, maybe to kind of represent that zones color coding, or even the umbrellas could just be a part of the color coding as well. Just we get that splashes of color for each area might be an idea, but it's a fantastic idea. As far as the auditorium idea is concerned, we did say we were going to do that, but we changed our minds because we went with the Gemsbok, and then we put this park in here. And then it kind of left no room to do it. We're going to get started on Africa soon, but I probably should throw it out there. If people want an auditorium, this is potentially going to be the place to do it, isn't it? That, or we just wait until we get a bit deeper into the park and we have got a bit more area and we can make one, a bit deeper into the project. There's nothing to say it needs to be right in the beginning. It was just, I do understand what you're saying, Veganites. We did say initially we were going to do it around about this area. We were going to do a crocoseum as well, but we turned our back on that idea and we did this baby croc, educational exhibit instead. So things have changed, but I'm still very happy to do the auditorium, but I think it might have to be a bit deeper into the zoo, maybe. Maybe up here, up this area. Because, the one thing I was thinking about is obviously we've done South America, we've done some exhibits here, a reptarium. We've got obviously our lemurs over here. We've got the reptarium. We've got the auditorium to do. But also, I was thinking to myself, like there's tropical Africa, and then there's the Serengeti and the savannas and so on. So there's lots that we could do with the tropical area. Like we could definitely have Africa and the plains this way, and then the sort of tropics this way, because then they would be a bit closer to South America. with that tropical climate. I'm just not sure at the end of the day. Yeah, you guys are making all the decisions. I'm just kind of spitballing and throwing some ideas out to you. But yeah, really love all those ideas. And, a lot of it has been noted. I really, really appreciate you, Veganiters. And the last comment for this week comes in from Nightclive. Of course it does. Nightclive, the ever-present. Absolutely love it, my friend. I like the planes. I like the planes. I like the plans for Chapter 3. I think that for North America, we can go into rougher terrain. This would fit for the llamas and most of the North American animals. I also think that we can combine them with the Arctic DLC to a Canadian section. Yes, that I really like. Really, really like that idea. For Africa, I've seen that most here are in for gazelles and ostriches. I definitely agree that we should have them, but they are more of a filler, easy to combine with the most of the other animals. To start Africa, we should bring an exclusive habitat for wild dogs, hyenas, or maybe mandrills. And the improvements to the rainforest house facade did not go unnoticed. It's nice to see that someone see that I've been working away. I actually agree with Nightclive on this one. We've already got an antelope species. I do think we need to go with something with a bit more star power to start Africa. I'm against the idea of doing mandrills personally, just because we've got an animal that has climbing frames and whatnot here already. I think maybe mandrills need to be a bit deeper in, but I'd be more than happy to do hyenas or wild dogs as an entry animal to Africa. I think it makes sense. I think obviously we've planted this up here. I'm thinking, see this fence here? I'm thinking of planting all this down here, really heavy foliage. I'm thinking of planting all in here as well, and then Africa would start about here. I want it to be quite immersed, and then we enter. I don't want it to be obvious, each section to be as obvious to the last. I kind of want it to have its own feel. So that's maybe what I'm thinking of doing there. So yeah, I would be all for an animal like that. But some fantastic ideas, as always, my friends. I really, really appreciate it. I do. I love the ideas for North America. I love the ideas for the start of Africa. We obviously have this down here as well. Obviously, no one's mentioned this time, but they did heavily in last episode. And so, yeah, we're going to get into the episode today. So before we do, let me just let you know what you can expect from today's episode. This area here was the big one this week in the live streams that I got done. So that is going to be the focal point of today's episode. It is going to be our second reptile nursery. You're going to see in the build section, and when I get to it, I'll talk to you about my plans, going forward with it and what else I want to do with it, basically. But that's the big thing in today's episode. And also, I start a little bit up here, and I start the backstage stuff on this area. So it isn't a huge amount of building, but it's been one of those weeks, unfortunately. But at least Chapter 3 has got started. So without further ado, let's jump in to the build section. And so, ladies and gentlemen, here we are in the build section of today's episode. As you can see, a lot has changed over here, and we've made some minor improvements up here as well. So I have actually got a fair bit to walk you through in the build section of today, more than you probably would have been expecting. So first up, the road markings aren't finished. I kind of run out of time, but that's one of those details that not everybody, I should say, pays attention to. But this is our second reptile nursery. This has been in the planning for a long time. And one of the big things when we decided to do Chapter 3 was we decided to unlock this because it was the last piece of Chapter 2 that hadn't finished off. And I thought that was one of the reasons why I needed to get this done first. We needed to say a proper goodbye to Chapter 2 so we could really start moving along with Chapter 3 of the build. So, yeah, this is what I've done, basically. So we do have a sort of access point here. With gates, it is secured up. We do have another security checkpoint. Obviously, some fencing and whatnot has been put in. One of the big reasons why I've done this is because this is probably where young animals would be coming in and out of the zoo. I would imagine if there's a breeding program set up, young animals shared with other zoos and whatnot. And I just felt like we needed an access point on this side, as well as when we do our big nursery and quarantine area over here, and we're going to have a probably the main access point to the zoo is going to be over there. As far as this road is concerned, I was talking about it in the live streams, we're probably going to bring it up to a point over here, put another car park in, but have like a little sort of like turn, sort of a roundabout type thing. The road is going to finish. This is going to have been like an off road that was built just for the zoo. It's kind of like what I'm now thinking. Maybe obviously this was an off road that was built for the the factory and the industrial estate that used to sit on this land. But obviously this section here was obviously the Reptarium that has kind of always been there. So we were going to treat this like an off-road and put like a main road in over here. Essentially, that's the plan. So we don't need to worry too much about how many things that we've got going onto this road, because this isn't a main busy road anyway. So one of the reasons why I've done that, and the reason I've used this different colour as well, is because this is the colour I've been doing all of the staff roads. Basically, all of the black stuff is the original sort of tarmac and whatnot. So it's just a good way for me to separate. And again, it's a bit like that colour coding idea. But yeah, back to the build. Another security checkpoint. Obviously, this road would come up, and as you can see, we've got another crossing up here, and I've decided to just do this. Now, the idea I had originally was I was going to put a research centre in here. We was going to have like a bridge that went over the road, and there was going to be another piece here. I just don't see, when I was looking at it, I didn't see the point of having such a huge research facility over here behind the reptile centre. We've got this nursery. This has got like a little sort of like researchy thing inside it. This is just kind of like staff backstage and stuff, and I just didn't really see the point. I would like to do that all over in the main hub. I think it makes more sense to do all of that stuff in a big like main hub rather than placing it over here. I did think about putting a small another smaller staff building here that sort of services this, but we do have the main staff centre there, so that's quite close still. So I'm really not sure how to fill this area in, but for now this is kind of what I've done. So instead of that research centre, I just did this nice little seated area for our staff when they take their lunch breaks and whatnot. At the end of the day, staff still have to have stuff like this, and I think that this is quite nice, like if they wanted to sit outside and enjoy their lunch and whatnot. And I just tried to go with a bit of a different shape and stuff as well, trying to work some circular design into what has become quite a rectangular sort of zoo. We do need to start adding a bit more shapes and giving it a bit more identity at the end of the day. So yeah, I added that there. We've masked all this off because obviously the back of it is now kind of showing on this area, but I quite like the fact that it sits there in the middle. I don't know why, I think it looks quite cool sitting there in the middle. It services all of these facilities, and so it kind of makes sense to have it there. If you walk down this way, you will see there's lots of rubbish and bits and bobs all knocking about. We come a bit further, a few more bins and whatnot on the outside, some crates and stuff like that. And this is the opening. This is the start of the sort of second nursery in the zoo. Slightly different front and fascia. I wanted to go with something a bit different. It does still need a few little things. I completely forgot to add lights and whatnot, but I keep doing that to all of the buildings. So I probably do need to spend some time just going around and doing lighting and stuff, but same sort of board as our other one, and so yes, we continue in, my friends, and this is the inside of our new reptile nursery. As you can see, I have started filling in spaces during the course of the live stream. We didn't really do any of this stuff, but I've started filling in all of these spaces and gaps and whatnot. Animal crates and lockers and storage and stuff like that. We've gone with a very sort of similar design to the last one. I wanted to continue that on, and so yeah, that's exactly what we've done with the notice boards on the wall and the windows, the doors, and so on and so on. So as you come in, the first room, this is now where our baby saltwater crocodiles are housed. As you can see, we've gone with a really familiar design, like it looks really similar to that of the other side. That's, what I wanted to do. The rooms are bigger over here because the animals are bigger, than what we were keeping in the other side. Like a baby saltwater crocodile is quite large, so we had to think about this basically. So yeah, as you can see, this is the baby croc's pool. This is where they chill out basically. This is where they're monitored and fed and whatnot until obviously they get of age and the zoo would choose to move them on or move them on to exhibit. And I quite like the style that we've done over here. It is quite nice that we've been able to add water water and there's these ponds. One thing I do need to do is I need to put some sort of like grating and filtration systems in these pools just to give them a bit more realism. But other than that, I think that they've turned out cracking. I absolutely love the lighting on the ceiling, and I love the window as well that's there, bringing in that natural light. I think it's a really, really cool part of the build. We continue on, ladies and gentlemen, in here. We walk up this way, obviously more stuff, more junk sitting about. This room here is unfinished. Basically, we were on about putting incubators and stuff in this room. I am considering putting in some exhibit things and then putting, really just masking them up and breeding snakes and whatnot just to make a bit more money. I think that might be an idea. We breed snakes and lizards and whatnot in here, and we sell them on to other zoos, and that's how we could make money. Let me know what you think of that idea, basically. But we were going to try to come up with like an idea for like incubation units, but I've been doing some research. I've just got to figure out how to build them, basically. And if I can do it, I will do it, because I think it will be a cool addition to the nursery and something that we probably need because we didn't have it over in the other one. We work our way round when it lets me. Yes, there we go. We work our way round. This is what we're saying about like the research centre type thing. Obviously, this would be where our staff come and they've studied the animals and watched them and whatnot, a bit like we did in the first nursery. We carry on walking. The window is on the side over here, which is interesting, a little bit different to what we did over in the other one. But yeah, we carry on walking up here, more crates and stuff like that. You will see, I continue with that design of the ventilation shafts and whatnot on the ceiling and the lighting and whatnot. Some nice racking systems that I've not put anything on yet. This is essentially a new facility, so it's kind of like a bit barren and whatnot at the moment. And then you come to this room. Now this room is for our baby gharials. These are the guys that don't make it into the baby croc pool. We can only really have about 10 at most over on the croc pool at any one time. So if we have any more babies that can't go over there, this is where they're going to come. They're going to come in this room. As you can see, nice pool for them. Very similar setup to the Salties one, but slightly obviously smaller. It didn't need to be as large, and we actually have 3 of our little blighters in here at the moment. But yeah, again, it's very basic. It doesn't need to be any more than this is. And again, very unique with the window design and the lights on the ceiling. Come around this way again. The theming is all on point. It's all kind of like the same for every single one. And you come in here, and this is now where our Aldabras are housed. The baby Aldabras, the ones that don't make it out into the exhibit in either of the reptile centre or near the lemurs, basically. They come in here now. The reason for that is this room is ever so slightly smaller than the one over in the original nursery. We've moved our baby Galapagos over into that one now. I think it makes a bit more sense because there's a bit more space. The Galapagos babies are bigger than the Aldabra babies, so that's why we've done that. Again, lighting all on the ceiling, windows, it's all looking beautiful. Absolutely in love with this facility, and it come together really, really nicely. Like, we pretty much finished it in 2 streams, which was really, really good. I don't do that very often. You will see a small kitchen at the back, and there, this window actually looks into the Aldabras, something a bit different. Hadn't done that before and wanted to give it a go. But yeah, like I say, we actually finished this over the course of 2 streams, which is something I don't tend to do. I usually natter away and we never really get too much done. But yeah, you come back outside, ladies and gents, and you zoom out, and that's what it looks like from above. And I think it looks pretty cool, actually. It's a lot bigger than the original nursery. Like, if we're looking at the original nursery over here, this is here, but you will remember it's not actually that big because there's this section that's been taken out. That roof overhangs there. So yeah, it is bigger, but it needed to be because the nature of the animals that it houses. I think it actually sits in there really nicely next to the reptarium as well. It all looks like one facility. I nearly made it one facility. I nearly actually joined this up here and had this doorway to this part of this as part of it, but I think it deserved to be its own building. It made a lot of sense for it to be its own building, and so that's why I done it. Obviously, we've still got these paths for staff to take should they wish. Put in some detailing as well. I put in some bikes and bins and all that sort of stuff. I've not finished all those little bits of detail. I feel like before I can put those details in, I have to have the area completely finished, and this isn't until I take these bits out and I get the edge of the zoo. These bits will never be able to be finished, in my opinion. So that's just the way that cookie's crumbled. The road has all been joined up. This is all now sort of one, and this is what I was saying to you when we were talking about where the road was going to go. This is the road we're probably going to use to come up. We'll come off at an angle like this and come across here, but around about here we'll probably go down, and it'll be a bridge over for our guests to take, basically. I think that makes more sense to do that, but obviously we've got to have enough clearance because bigger trailers and stuff would have to come up here, because up here is where jaguars would be moved, where anteaters would be moved, and so on and so on. So we have to keep all this stuff in mind, basically, when we are building all of our backstage stuff. It's one of the reasons why I like building in this grid style, is it really has helped me plan the backstage so much more efficiently than I could have ever dreamed of doing. But yeah, that's the first part of the build, ladies and gents. The second part is actually over here in the tropical area. So I've been working hard to foliage all of this up to really hide the back of this area from inside this room where we look at our jaguars, basically. So as you can see, it is really hidden at the back of the exhibit now. You can't really see too much through. You can here, but I'm okay with that. But yeah, I just wanted to hide the back, basically, from when you were looking through the glass at the animals. So that job has been achieved. We've added obviously a few more little bits and bobs to the signpost, but we walk up here. And I was talking about this in the live stream. I felt like we needed a pit stop area before we went off into North America. And, you know, we were talking about doing the llamas and, you know, how we were going to fit them in. And so I needed to start planning the area before we could fit them in. And so as a result, I've kind of reworked this area. The stairs here used to come off at an angle over this way, but I've deleted that out. We've put in a really lovely flower bed so that it all kind of matches up with the other side, and then I've just put in a bathroom very similar to the one that we've got over the other side, basically where the outdoor capuchin and tapirs are. And I put in this bathroom, and I've just put in a couple of vending machines, basically a bit of a seating area, and so people can have a bit of a pit stop, go use the bathroom, grab themselves a little snack and whatnot, have a little sit down and look at the anteaters from here. Just a really lovely little area to just kind of recharge before you then go off into here and attack North America, basically. I just felt like we really needed to make something like this happen. Also, it was a good way for me to plan the backstage over here and exactly how we were going to do it. Obviously, we've got this gate in here. The road can be finished off. At the end of the day, South America, as far as the animals going in and out, will probably go through this main hub area over here. And this is probably where our big animal hospital is going to be, up this end, so it would make sense for these larger animals to be able to go just straight out animal hospital or out off exhibit. Basically, that's how I've planned that. But yeah, we've done this nice little canopy as well over the top, and I just feel like it really finishes off South America in a lovely way, in my opinion. I just felt like we needed something on that corner, and I feel like I've achieved it. Let me know what you think, though, because this isn't something that you guys suggested to me. I've just kind of taken it upon myself to do this because I wanted a finisher, basically, to the area, a Stolko stunner to the area, basically, and I feel like I've got it. A lot of people were asking for the llamas to go in over here before we went into North America. Now, I am still happy to do the llamas as part of the South American area, but I'm going to throw out a suggestion that we save them for a petting zoo. You let me know what you want to do. At the end of the day, this zoo is your zoo. You guys are the ones that, you know, are basically telling me where the animals go and so on and so on. So you guys let me know what you want to do. But I personally think that we could lay off them and save them for a petting zoo. But if you want to put them in to make sure that they are still part of this area, we will put them in. Just let me know in the comment section below. And then just little bits and bobs I've been doing here, ladies and gents, is really just getting to grips with the backstage of South America. You'll see, obviously, we've had to put in some steps but this is the thing. People were saying, oh, the zoo's really flat. It's not. Trust me, there are levels to the zoo. They're just not as obvious as they maybe are in other people's zoos, but there are bits and bobs that, the terrain is all over the place, believe it or not. It's just really, really subtle. So, yeah, I've done all this. Obviously, we want there to be, our keepers to have the ability to look through and see the animals over here. Which is something they can definitely do now. And then, yeah, I've just been putting in all of the pathway for the backside of the South American house, basically. This is all the back units, and it just looks so much nicer now it's all been cleaned up. I need to take all that grass out at a later date, but look, you can see the difference in the terrain levels there. It is huge, trust me when I say that to you. And I've got to do it all up here as well. Completely forgot about all this, but yeah, we're obviously putting a bridge in. This is just a staff bridge. We will, I would imagine, carry on this water over this side, and we'll carry it on, and it can work its way into North America. I think that is an area where the water will work very, very nicely, my friends. But yeah, we're done. We are done and dusted. Let me know what you make of the little pit stop and the new nursery. And so the only other thing I want to do in today's episode, ladies and gentlemen, is a little bit of animal management, basically. We may not do any management, but I just want to have a look where our animals are at, what animals we've got, where they're at in their life cycle, and so on and so on. Do we need to move any on? Do we need to change exhibits? All that sort of stuff. I just want to take a quick look at this so you guys know. Also, I want you to really note the money situation. We're not moving forward in years at the minute. Until this bit is done, we're not going to be moving forward. So we have no ability to actually make money at the moment. So that's quite a big deal. That is quite a big deal. So we have to keep that in mind when we're building our exhibits and stuff like that. We've got so many conservation points. I think that's probably the avenue we're going to have to use to bring any new animals into the project going forward, just so we can save on the money. Anyway, let's have a look at our animals, shall we? All the Aldabras have been moved to where they need to go now. The two adults are on the main exhibit. They can breed again now if they wish, because we actually have the space for them. This one is in the nursery site. You're outdoors. So we've got two in the nursery site, 4 outdoors, and the 2 adults. So that's pretty cool. I'm happy with that. The camels, I've started breeding again. As you can see, Sapphire, she is pregnant. And then we've got our tapirs who have been busy, because as you can see, we've got 2 very young tapirs here who will be released to the wild, because we're setting up a huge conservation effort with the tapirs. We've got a boa constrictor. Then you can see the capuchins are all doing okay. We've got a few babies in with the capuchins, which is amazing, absolutely amazing to see. We've got an eastern brown snake. Then we've got the Galapagos tortoises. So Toby and Terry are obviously our main Galapagos. They're outdoors, and then as you can see in nursery site 3, that's where all of the baby Galapagos have been moved to. As far as the Gemsbok are concerned, you will see that Zorro, and then we've got Jade, Jafari. Now, someone recently did suggest some new names for our Gemsbok. Obviously, we've kept Jafari behind just because he is a stud, an absolute beauty of an animal. We're going to get some very good youngsters from him, so that's why we've kept him, and we kept Zorro back as well. They're our males. Then we've got Amethyst, Jade, and I swear we had another female. Maybe we didn't, maybe just had the 2, but anyway, they're our 2 females. We've now had another female born, but she's not going to be able to breed with any of these males, because this is her brother essentially, and this is her dad. So that's a bit of a pain. But the other male is going to have to go off into the wild as and when. We may keep this little lady back, but she obviously won't be a breeding animal. Then we've got our gharials, which is just a situation that is mental. I'm not letting them breed at the moment because we have 3 in the nursery site, and then as you can see, we've got all of these babies out on the baby crocodile exhibit. It's insane. If you are doing a franchise, gharials are the way forward. They will make you serious money and conservation points because they breed so quickly, and they so many of them as well. It is insane. As you can see, we've got our anteaters. I did rename one of them Jack. I think someone requested that. It might have been Nightclive. So there you go, buddy. One of the anteaters is now called Jack. They have a baby, a young female who looks like a really high quality animal as well, which is amazing. We don't need to do any work with our frogs and our lizards, which is actually crazy to say because I always have to move animals around. You will see the flamingo numbers continue to grow. We've got Gafar and Safaras, I think that's how we say that. They're probably going to have to be moved on when they reach maturity because we've got to be careful with the amount of males. We've already got 2 that are breeding away with our females. So we're probably going to have to move these guys on as and when, but Ilham, she will be okay to stay. You will see Mr. Peabody is still going. He's 27 years old. He refuses to die. He really, really does. I've got a situation with the peacocks that we're probably going to have to address even after Mr. Peabody passes away, in that we've had to put a lot of them on contraceptive because we can't have them breeding at the minute. We've got Mr. Peabody's sons here. What I'm thinking of doing is, when Mr. Peabody eventually goes, Ronif will take on the pond gardens, and I think Sai will take on the wild gardens, and then we will move all of the ladies on, because obviously they're all their sisters, and then we'll get some new females and start 2 harems basically of peacocks as and when the day comes. Then we've got our jaguars, Cole and Leo, and this name that I'm not going to attempt to try to say. Please feel free to leave a name suggestion for our female so that I can actually say her name. But as you can see, they're all going strong. Cole, for whatever reason, is boxed up. So where are you, Cole? Why can't I unbox you? That's very strange. You must have just been put back in there for whatever reason, wherever you've been. I don't know where you've been. Anyway, let's unbox you. There we go. So I know that that's done. Let's go back to the Jaguars. I was expecting to have to move some animals off exhibit, to be honest with you, guys, and release to the world and whatnot, but I haven't had to do any of that. But yeah, as you can see, they're going okay. As far as the Komodos are concerned, Diane has been moved on to the main exhibit because she is mature female. When Gulgira eventually passes away, because he really is just here, it's a retirement home for him now, because his partner in crime did pass away recently. When Gulgira eventually passes away, we will get Diane a male counterpart so we can continue our Komodo dragon breeding program, and it'll be really cool because an animal that was born at Jamii will be part of it. And you will then see we have 4 Komodos that are in the nursery sites, which is pretty cool. The layman's poison frogs, don't need to move any of them on. I'm very surprised at this. I'm very, very surprised at this. Iguana and our Nile monitor are pretty decent. I did think about adding a section for the Nile monitors onto the the nursery so that we could breed them, but I just think that it's too much of an undertaking to take, so I didn't worry about it. We'll just keep doing what we're doing with the Nile monitor and have them on exhibit. Then we've got all of our red ruffs who are crazy breeding. We're probably actually going to have a think about this soon and move these guys on and get the numbers back to some sort of level, because we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 red ruff. I don't know how many ringtails we've got. So the tree frogs, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we probably do need to move some of these on. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, always have 5 on exhibit. That's what I always tend to do. So let's release those guys. Not you. Let's release those guys to the wild. Nearly released Gorgia to the wild. Actually, we could do that. Let me know if you think we should do that. If we should release Gorgier to the wild and let him live out the remainder of his days in the wild, and we get a new breeding partner for Diane. So that's that done. And then the ringtails, they've been breeding crazy as well. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 of those. So what's that? We've got 25 animals on 25 animals on Lemur Island. That is insane. Actually insane. Why are you boxed up? What have you been up to? What have you been doing, mister? And why can't we unbox you? That's an issue. Why can't I even click on the box? That's an even bigger issue. Okay, that's very strange. Unless you've just been unboxed. Oh, that might be it. Oh, there we go. That's what it was. You'd already been unboxed. I must have done unbox all animals and just forgot about it. It's one of those days, ladies and gentlemen. Do forgive. Do forgive. Anyway, ringtails are done, and then it's just the salties, I think, at the end. So as you can see, Bindi and Chandler are on exhibit, and then all of the youngsters are now in the nursery pool. And then we've got the 2 yellow anacondas, one of whom might get moved, because obviously someone did make a point of saying we don't have all of the lizard animals. We've got the basically, there's an animal we don't have. Eastern blue-tongue skink. That's the one. We probably should get those guys. But because they're an Australian climate, they're going to be more of a desert animal. So, in my opinion, they would have fit better in the... What's the name one? They would have fit better in here, in John M's, in my opinion. But we don't have enough exhibit boxes in here. So, that is a shame. So we'll wait and see. We'll wait and see what we can do, basically, ladies and gents, with that. But actually, we don't need to do any animal management, which is amazing to me. I'm going to be honest, really, really amazing to me. But that brings us to the end of today's episode. Obviously, there's going to be no moving forward. There's going to be no like, can't press play when we're doing the animal management at the moment, because we are in a state of paused because of, all the work we're going to be doing in this, beginning of chapter 3. Until we start unlocking new zones and whatnot, we can't really press that play button. Do please take a note of that money. We're on $547,000. Before we started doing all this work, before we started doing the tropical house, we were on $1 million. That's how much money it's taken to really start building all of these, new divisions of the zoo. It is costing a fair bit of money, but it's going to be money well worth it in the long run. But I'm quite glad that you guys have been voting for some smaller, cheaper animals to start these areas off, because money is going to be at a premium. But let me know about the llamas. That's the big thing. Do we put them over here, or do we save them for a petting zoo? Do let me know. Continue to let me know about your ideas for the start of Africa. At the minute, I'm really kind of like been drawn into the idea of doing a wild dog exhibit off the back of what Nightclive has said. We have a big sort of starter animal in there. Continue to let me know your ideas for the continuation of the backstage area over here. And my friends, I am done and a dustido. If you haven't done so already, in the description box below you will find the link to my Twitch account. Please, 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 I implore you to go and follow that if you are one of the people that watch me do my live streams. Hopefully from this week that's incoming, I will be going over to Twitch, and all of my live videos and all of my live sessions will be done on that platform going forward. Nothing against YouTube, but I'm just not a fan of their new streaming platform, and I want to start separating the two as I begin to do this as a bit of a second job, basically, which is actually pretty exciting to say. Also, my friends, you don't have to, but should you wish to support the channel and support everything that I do, there is a link to my Patreon as well. Feel free to head over there and get yourself sorted out and support the channel. I am going to be adding tier lists very, very shortly, and one of the tiers could be potentially that you get to see the content early. I'm still trying to work out how Patreon works properly, but if you would like to support me, my journey and the channel, and be a bigger part of the community, you can do it that way. Also, you will find links to stuff like the Discord and my socials. They're great things to follow as well, because then you become part of the fantastic community that we are building here. But my friends, we are done for another episode of Planet Zoo and Jamii Conservation Park. Until next time, enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you all real soon.